Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to Apex Online Racing. It is another Tier 2 Tuesday here with Apex Online Racing, brought to you by our lovely Patreon members. It is the penultimate round of the championship here in Tier 2, and qualifying is just about to get underway. In fact, they are just starting to roll out onto the track now, so we will go over to them in just a moment. Let's jump onto them right now, actually. Hopefully, we should have some live images coming to you. Yes, we do. Lovely stuff. Some weird audio going on there. Right, car number 707 is our first one out there, who is Anderson. And we'll go to the helicam just while they go out. And just while they're on their out lap, let's have a run through the championship as it stands. It is mighty close with no outright clear winner looking forward into this penultimate round. So Jones currently leading the championship with 376 points. Southcott just 26 points behind in second place. And then Schroeder 110 points behind. Then we've got Belchite in fourth place, 132 points behind, and Ryan O'Sullivan, newcomer to the season. Obviously, he was in Tier 3. He was a bit too quick for Tier 3, so he's been bumped up into Tier 2. Didn't have the best opening round at a very, very wet Mazzano, but he is now here looking to improve and currently running in fifth place in the championship with 229 points. So only a 147-point gap between the leader and fifth place. And it is very close throughout the board. Not a great deal between them at all. So lots can change over this race, and obviously the final round at Kailami next week as well. But it is 90 minutes of racing this time round, so pretty open pit strategy. You still have to do one mandatory pit, but you don't have to change tyres if you don't want to, but I think you'd be a bit of a madman not to. And also, it's open for refueling, whereas normally during the 60-minute races, no refueling allowed. This time round, you can refuel, obviously being 90 minutes, so should see some pretty wild strategies going on here this evening in regards to fueling and tyres. And it is also mixed conditions, so qualifying track at the moment is still green, so not the best for racing at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with the old track temp, and see what happens as we go into qualifying later as well. It might be a case that suddenly the weather decides to flip it on its head and it gets mighty, mighty wet. Just seeing in the chat as well, Ross Johnston, got my cup of tea and got my toast ready for an excellent race. Yeah, fingers crossed we are in for a good one. Indianapolis always gives us some pretty good racing. Plenty of opportunities for overtakes and plenty of opportunities for people to make colossal whoopsies as well. So this is our first flying lap at the moment, and that is with Anderson of the 707 AOR 17 car. So at the moment, as we can see, it is still green and it's cloudy out at the moment, so no real chance of it getting much better. Don't think we're going to see the track go to fast before the end of qualifying with not that much time. Track temp only 22 degrees as well, so it's probably going to stay a little bit soggy for a little while. But we will jump on board the dash of this car as he then flies out onto his second flying lap. So on board with him now We get a bit of an idea of what sort of speeds we're going to be seeing as he goes down towards turn 1 in just a second. And fingers crossed all the levels are still sounding good. If anything, maybe that car's a little bit loud and I'm a little bit quiet, but we'll work it through. Right, down into turn 1, avoiding that big inside curve, then immediately flicks into turn 2. It's a long stretch, then flicks into turn 3. This is almost double apexed into turn 4, as you can see here, into turn 4. Trying to get on the power, runs it out to the outside edge, not too much exit curve before throwing it into turn 5, and then turn 6. It's a very long hairpin-esque corner, 180 degrees, and then you've got this whip back to the right-hand side again. Lots of room to get all the way out, trying to avoid the grass. We saw lots of people making slight mistakes yesterday and going out of the grass and losing a lot of exit speed, so fingers crossed they'll be able to keep it all together. Right, now into this sort of this double chicane, so the left-hander, the right-hander, and then it tightens up again into this second left-hander. Dabber brakes, flinging in, big cut of inside before opening right up here. A little bit of a moment to get up on the banking before going into this one of the penultimate corners. I say penultimate, it's not the penultimate, it's third to last. But this is one of those corners that does catch people out. It's just over 90 degrees, and the same here again. This long left-hander, although the track is mighty wide, lots of opportunities to make a mistake, and now the final sprint towards the line. This, I think, is going to be probably more realistically sort of a bit of a benchmark lap as he comes towards the line. And there we go, up into second place. So actually, at the moment, it is Amir with a 1:36.5. We did see speeds better than that in the practice session, so no doubt we're going to see some improvements here as well. Right, on board with Amir at the moment. Ferrari for Formula Racing League. He is in pole position now with the 1:36.1. And we'll have to see if anyone else out there can put in big improvements. Robert R. Larvey is on an absolute flyer. And is Amir still improving? Oh, Chris Southcott's just taken away the lead with a 1:37.18. Sorry, a 1:36.187. We definitely saw 1:35s in practice, so have to see if people can then put that together here in the qualifying session. And just towards the end of practice, it started to rain as well, so a couple of cars jumped out at the very last moment, trying to see if they can get some better times and some better temps in those tyres. Bit of wet practice. Obviously, this is a mixed condition race. So at the moment, it's Southcott, Amir, and Larvey holding out the front 3 positions on the grid. Looking to see if there's any drivers out there that are on big improvements. Urban Edge. Oh, actually, they say this is actually his out lap, or his first flying lap anyway. He is way up on his time, 0.9 up on his time at the moment. Everybody up in the top part is pretty much improving. Amir was on an improvement, but there we go, you can see he's binned it off. So I think maybe that improvement was actually down to a slight mistake and a corner cut. So sticking with Urban Edge for just a minute or two as he comes flying towards the line now. What is his benchmark going to be? Urban Edge gets himself up into 14th place. Decent starting lap, that one. Right, jumping on board with LaFloche for BF Racing AMR. That lovely Aston Martin, car number 915. Currently running in 5th place, but he is slightly improving on his lap. Can he make any kind of improvements as he comes to the line? Yes, up into 3rd place. He'll be very pleased with that one. Robert R. Larvey, another one of the Aston Martins, on a bit of a flyer. He was improving on his lap time. Can he hold it together? Just avoids the wall. Comes towards the line now. And no place improved. That actually was ever so slightly slower than his previous lap. Only ever so slightly, but every little bit counts. Ryan O'Sullivan for 0 Point Racing. As we were saying last week, he is a newcomer to Tier 2. Joining us from Tier 3. And he was just too darn quick for them, so now he is up with us here. Let's see if we can jump in that Tier 2 chat as well, and might be able to see what's going on, if there's any gossip mid-race. We all like a little bit of mid-race gossip, don't we? So, O'Sullivan, still got a little way to go yet, but he is big improvements. He's dropping down the order as other people around him improve. We'll stick with him for now. I imagine after last week's incredibly wet race that O'Sullivan will be hoping for a dry race this time round. As we said, mixed conditions and 90 minutes could lead to some pretty wet and wild stuff. Here we go, Sullivan towards the line now. What are we going to get? He was in 10th, puts himself into pole position, and he is into the 135, so he'll be very pleased with that. I think that's obviously the reason why he's no longer in Tier 3, because of the pace he's setting. So here we go, jumping on board with Ben Milden, who is still improving as well. In our second place Mustang at the moment for Sector Blitz Racing, car 111. Let's jump on board the dash of this lovely Mustang. Just avoiding the wall on the outside edge, flicking it in. You can almost hear the engine echoing off the walls. Final corner to go now. Sprints towards the line. He is on an improvement. This should see him gain a few positions. He might be inside the top 5 with this one. Mustang absolutely stretching its legs, doing what it does best, and actually gets himself over to 3rd place. Big improvement for him. Still another 5 minutes of qualifying left to go. I think lots of cars have jumped into the pits to try and get some fresh tyres on. Cockins, currently running in 13th place, is on a decent improvement. Sorry, Kokinis. Sorry, not Cockins. Do apologise. Kokinis for Corsa Competizione. Sorry, Competizione. There's me just adding far too many syllables to the ends of words. And this is a big improvement, actually. 0.3 up on his lap, so still pushing very hard. Couple of drivers above him improving as well. Lafloche and Chirich, both those drivers making minor improvements, but this seems to be the big one from Kokinis. As he sprints towards the line now, probably not quite close enough to get a tow from the Mustang in front. Puts himself up into 8th place. He'll be pretty pleased with that one. Chirich, who is still improving actually. 0.2 up on his lap, currently running in 11th place. Kind of a 17 with the Love Live Nico Yazawa livery on it. You can see that with just under 4 minutes to go, the track is still green. If it flicks over to fast, then lots of other people are going to jump back out of the pits and try and set a last minute lap on that higher grip level. But I would be surprised if there is enough cars out there to actually generate enough heat in that surface to get it up to optimum. Big sprint towards the line now. Is there going to be any kind of improvement? Oh no, got my corners wrong. Do apologise. It has been a very, very long day today, so any mistakes made, 100% my fault. Here we go. Now he's going around that final corner towards the line. And is this going to be an improvement or not? He was running in 11th. As he comes across the line now, no improvements for him this time round. Urbanech just about to come across the line, gets himself up into 6th place. He'll be happy with that one. Lafloche as well. Kind of a 9.15. We obviously saw him slightly earlier on as well in qualifying. He is now down in 11th, but he is improving. Let's see if there's anyone further down the order on big improvements. At the moment, O'Sullivan still holding on to that pole position spot. Let's jump on board the Aston Martin. The V8 sounding absolutely fantastic here. Rolls on the throttle, plenty of grip still out there. It might be green, but still managing to get those tyres to stick to the surface. Out onto the oval very briefly before hammering the brakes. We saw some pretty wild manoeuvres going on here yesterday. Obviously the pit exit is just there, sorry, pit entrance just there on the right hand side. So another one of those places where it can sometimes cause issues. But here we go, going towards the line. Was in 11th place as he gets there. No improvement this time round. people up near the front. Is there anyone on big improvements? Not at the moment. O'Sullivan's still out there lapping. Southcott, Milden, Piccolo, Amir still out there lapping as well. Alavi, big improvement for that gentleman, up into 7th place for Carnival 189 for KWID Racing, or Quaddy. Here we go, someone on a decent improvement, nearly half a second up on their lap, and very close to the end of the lap as well. This could be a huge jump up the order for Mathiasson, for Hex. Carnival 171, that lovely Ferrari. Here he goes towards the line. What are we going to get? 15th place. Not as big a jump up the order as I was expecting. I think he lost a little bit of time in that final corner. We go for Proton Competition. I wonder if that might have been a little bit of commentator's curse, as immediately I jumped on with car number 39, driven by Catalin. Is this an improvement? No, it's not. They were going pretty quickly, showing them having a very quick time, but I think it might be in a case of I jumped on board with them at just the wrong moment. So, having a quick look at our championship leader, Jones. Currently running in 8th place at the moment. Alavi improving in front of him, Lynn improving behind him. So we're going to be interested to see what Jones can do. Can he make any kind of improvement? And there we go, qualifying now coming to an end. So this is his final opportunity to set something. There's only a few cars out there that are still going to be on flying laps. Can Jones do anything here? There's a tiny improvement on the timing board I can see, and he gets himself into 4th, so tiny improvement gets him well up the order. Southcott as well on a bit of a flyer. Amir also was improving. Piccolo was also improving, so I think this is going to be right the way to the line. Let's see what happens here. Getting a little bit over the curbs there. Bit brave, but still improving on the times. That's 0.2 up on his lap. If Southcott can put this together and hold on to it, this could be a pole position lap. Let's jump on the dashboard for the final little bit. The world's loudest McLaren suddenly falls into life. Still up on his lap, not quite as much as he was. Yes, there we go. He's gained that tiny little advantage. This might be just enough. Actually, I don't think it will, because Catalan's now putting themselves up into pole position. And what we're going to get? Yes, Southcott does do it. With only a few cars left to come across the line. And in fact, that is it. Session over. What a finish that ended up being. An absolute drag race to the line. And Southcott finds himself in pole position. And as we can see, there is an absolutely whopping amount of cars, all within a second of each other. I mean, just looking at that, there's 18 cars within half a second of each other. So, really showing just how good the tier system is at stacking equally placed drivers up against each other. Right, so while they are getting themselves comfy, working out what they're going to do, just with their little bit of time they have left, let's see what the best camera angle is for this. It annoyingly probably is going to be that one. It's a bit of a rubbish angle, but it's probably the best. That's not too bad, but you can't really see him very well. So we'll go with this one. Right, so going into this one now, Chris Southcott sitting in pole position, joined on the first row by Catalin. Then we have O'Sullivan on the second row, joined by Robert R. Larvey. Amir on the third row, joined by Dor. Jones in 7th place, Piccolo in 8th. Ben Milden, good qualifying from him, 9th place. Urbanech, 10th place. Lynn in 11th. Anderson in 12th. LaFloche, 13th. Nathaniel Shirley, 14th place. Chirich in 15th, Kokinis in 16th place, Lima in 17th, 18th place is Mathiasson, Skugel, one of the fan favourites, in 19th place, and Delabra rounding out the top 20. But we continue on, there's a decent old grid here this evening. Kazantis, 21st place, Braun in 22nd, 23rd is Skyless, 24th is Jokic, Then we have Athenstad in 25th, Scheckerman in 26th, Maudsley in 27th, Zapata in 28th, Bardakis 29th, Belshite 30th, Zeil in 31st, and Zoricic rounding out the grid in 32nd place. So decent old grid here this evening. It should give us some pretty exciting stuff, but Southcott will be very pleased with getting themselves into pole position. Good place to start. The race is starting damp, but it is continuing to rain and it's going to stay cloudy. So going to be a bit of a roll of the dice on tyres here. See who's on wets, see who's on dries. We won't know until they're kind of a bit more up and moving as to what people's tyres are doing. We should be able to tell by the yellow banding on the side of the tyre with any luck. But a minute and 30 to go until we start moving again. Let's have a quick reminder of that. Those championship main battles and points going on. So Jones being followed by Southcott with only a 26-point gap. That's the battle for first place. Then we've got this big battle for third place in the championship between Schroeder, Belshite, Sullivan and Kazantis. They tend to be the big bulk. And also then Lynn as well, actually, and who's running in 7th place in the championship, is pretty close behind as well. So we've got Schroeder with 266 points. Then Belshite with 244, so only 22 points behind. O'Sullivan with 229, so another further 15 points. And then obviously Kazantis and Lynn a little bit further behind with 198 and 191 points respectively. So there is opportunities for things to get a bit shaken up. The circuit has now gone wet as well. Getting very close to the line now as to whether or not people are going to go with wets. I can only presume people are going to start on wet tyres for this one. If the circuit is already wet, it seems a very brave move to try and go for dries at this point. 25 seconds left to go. Lots of cars now dropping down onto the tyres, getting themselves ready. Might be a case of someone a bit further back in the grid deciding to go for dries in the hopes that it is going to dry up sooner than later. We know we've got rain now, but sort of for about 10 minutes or so, and then nothing much later. So here we go. Cars getting ready to make a move. Southcott will be our first driver to begin the formation lap. I'm seeing... Oh, was that the Mustang running slicks then? It might have been the wheel design, the colour choice on the wheel, but I think there might have been a set of slick tyres on that car, which will be an incredibly brave move. Hopefully we'll be able to get a bit of a side shot here as a bunch of the drivers come through. So that's dries. That is slicks on that first Mustang. And it's looking like the Aston Martin as well of O'Sullivan. Let's see if we can spot what's going on here on the side of Robert R. Lavi's car. They're slicks as well. So unless this is ACC doing ACC things and it's glitched the tyres, it appears that they are running dries. The track's already gone damp again, so maybe it is the right move to go with the slicks and just sort of fight your way through and see what you can do, really, because those tyres are not going to last the whole time if it is damp. Again, you can see the yellow banding on Jones. That's definitely a slick. So is Piccolo. Got to find out what the older, the fan favourite's doing. Let's find Scoogs. Wait for the camera to change. Can we get a better angle here? Possibly. Going to see a lot of tyres as they come through this part. Google is running slicks as well, so if we're going off the fan favourite, it looks like the only driver out there sort of near the front is that McLaren there that's still running wet tyres. So that's pretty brave. Ben Milden as well. Pretty much every car we go through. Nathaniel Shirley, that's a slick tyre. Kazantis, we see Scoogle there again. Athenstad. Most people on dry tyres. They're on those slicks apart from Southcott. This could be a bit of a bold strategy. The track's gone damp. It's definitely the wrong tyre. The rain has already cleared, so we're going to get a very short amount of rain. Southcott, if he has indeed started on wets after an amazing qualifying session, just due to that technical decision, it might be the worst mistake he's made. And I imagine Catalin in second place is absolutely ecstatic about this. Cars stacking up now, getting ready to go racing here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Just one last drag to the line and boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing. It's a decent start by Southcott. He's having to hug the inside though. An even better start by Catalin and O'Sullivan. They are both now looking to the outside. They're going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Little bit of a rub. Catalin has a slight rub as well. I think most people got it through. Jones is round. That's a big mark in the championship. 2 of the cars having to go wide off there as well to avoid. Bulk of cars got through though, and there's another bump there. More cars involved. I think that is Emir that has spun there. I did warn these guys that if they didn't play nicely, I was not even going to commentate. I was just going to make fart noises down the mic. So you are risking a lot. Lynn again getting knocked off there. So the back of the pack, a little bit untidy, has to be said. Let's go back up to the front. Oh, it's having a right old wobble on. So Southcott is still leading. Obviously pulling away at the moment with those wet tyres in the damps, but I don't imagine those tyres are going to last very long. Just seeing say that I imagine turn 1 was going to be a lot worse than that. Yes, same, but still room for improvement, it has to be said. But right, at the moment Southcott has massively pulled away. O'Sullivan as well doing a pretty good job. We've got Catalin, who obviously got sort of hung out to dry at turn 1 and was on the outside edge and couldn't do a great deal. You can still see the amount of spray on the floor there. So this is Sabata running in 9th place at the moment. Big one here though is where has Jones ended up. Jones has ended up back in 27th place, currently battling outwards aisle. So this is our championship leader who really needs to score some points here this evening, and he now finds himself way down the order. And obviously none of these drivers have to give him any space. They can battle it out the same as they have been. But this is exactly what Southcott is going to be hoping for, is a big finish over his championship rival. But obviously Southcott as well is the driver who is out there on slicks. I mean on wet tyres as opposed to everybody else. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. Right, jumping into this mid-pack a little bit now. Try and keep an eye on everyone's battles all at once. It's always very hickety-pickledy at the very beginning of the race. Lots of very close battles. You see cars going fairly wide. We've got a recovering Ben Milden here as well. And we've also got a recovering Amir in the background as well. You can see looking to the inside now. Is going to get the move done, I think. Yes, he is. We'll stick with this little side-by-side moment versus Kazantis, and he does manage to get his nose in front and push through. Ben Milden coming way off his lacing line. That was a big old track cut there from Amir. We didn't see any drive-through penalties for track limits yesterday, but it might be interesting to see. Here we can also see that Jones is now looking to make a move, and he went to the outside, but the road nearly closed away on him. He's going to be side-by-side. He's then going to have the inside coming into this penultimate turn, and he does get there. Kazantis does give him room at the apex, but he's going to try and sprint away from this and try and hold on to it. And the door is held open by Kazantis. Through he goes. All credit to him. He gave him enough space where he needed to, but by all means, he was willing to fight back and try and hold on to that position. Right, a little bit further forward. This is the battle for 5th place. So this is Piccolo versus Door. Piccolo racing for RSGT and P1CE. Or we'll just go with RSGT. That's the much quicker way of saying it. Car number 5 running in 5th. I like that. That all makes a lot of sense. It's all nicely in order. So a little bit of side-by-side. We've got Sam Maudsley for Team Parker Racing. Currently under attack from Delabra. Oh, kind of a 789 we have just seen with a yellow flag. Who is 789? We'll try and grab him as quickly as we can. Typically they're moving down through the order very quickly. 789, 789, 789. And that was Amir again. So we'll go back 20 seconds. Hopefully we can catch this. He's up behind Ben Milden. What happens here? He goes to the inside. No, can't go to the inside. Washes out. Tiny touch on the grass. And ends up going off. To be fair, decent bit of sportsmanship there. He could have kept pushing for that apex and possibly caused a collision, and he didn't. He realised he wasn't going to get the car stopped and did go to the outside. So as much as he's lost some time. Oh, and I think actually that is Amir's race done. I think he's decided to call it a day after that one. I mean, there's still a long old way to go, but obviously was just feeling like it wasn't worth it. That's Zapata into the pits already. So whether that is looking for clean air or whether they had the wrong tyres on, I'm not entirely sure. Right, back up to the front. Southcott still running in first at the moment, but O'Sullivan has already caught up to the back of him. The track's gone greasy. Those wet tyres will already be completely melting. You can see how loose the back of the McLaren looks now. And this is becoming the battle for first place. We're jumping onto the rear wing. In fact, let's jump straight away from it because we didn't even get a chance to look very long. So much more confident under braking is O'Sullivan. He manages to get it done and then drive all the long way round and take away pole position. You can see the car just sticking and turning much, much quicker than Southcott's. So Southcott is probably going to have to bail to the pits pretty quickly. I don't think running on those slick tyres is doing him, those wet tyres is doing him any favours anymore. He is way, way down on his lap. We're going to stick with him here to see if he does go to the pits. Is he going to stay out? He is staying out. I'm very surprised because he has lost nearly a second this lap. Whether or not he needs to stay out a little bit longer while he's just trying to work out what he's doing tyre pressures wise. We've got car number 42 is going to be jumping out of the pits into some pretty heavy traffic almost immediately. Checkerman for Sheck 95 driving the 911 Porsche. And he now has Braun looking to the inside as they come down the pit straight. Looks like Braun has managed to get his nose in front. It's very, very close. They're overlapping. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? And as it turns out, it is Checkerman who has stayed with it. Oh, no, sorry, that was Athenstad. Sorry, not Braun. That was Athenstad versus Checkerman. Got my Ferraris a little bit mixed up there, but that is the number 11 car. Decent drive off the corner then. He is right on the back of Checkerman. Can he do anything here under braking? He is to the inside. Checkerman gives him room. Ends up washing out onto that slightly damper part of the circuit as well and does not have the traction that maybe he thought he would. And ends up losing the position and ends up dropping back at least a car length, maybe even more. We've got moves going on just up in front as well. Delabra looking to the inside of Maudsley again. Very surprised to see Southcott still out there on those wet tyres. Say already half a second down on this lap as well, so I think he lost extra amounts of time last lap simply due to the fact that obviously he was trying to hold on to first place, going a little bit defensive but wasn't able to, but still. Ooh. Sorry, earlier on as well I was saying this was Delabra versus Maudsley. It's not, it's Braun versus Maudsley. Trying to see, judging off those tyres as well, who is who. And there's a big old squabble going on in the background. Jumping back to that one a little bit more. We've got Ben Milden in amongst the middle of it as well. I think there might always be more than one move all at once. What can he do? He's going to try and go around the outside at turn 1. It will give him the inside for turn 2. It's going to be very close. They do give each other room. He just about gets the car slowed down and turned in. big old jump up the order there. We were very pleased with that. Wait for the timing board to sort themselves out, but I think that has actually just put him up into 16th place. I think that was 3 positions. That was absolutely mega. We're waiting for the timing board to sort its life out, and it will eventually when we come into Sector 2. Another big move to the inside. Where on earth is this pace coming from? He is absolutely flying, is Ben Milden. Still showing him as... Oh, there we go. No, so 16th place. He is 16th place. The timing did sort of sort itself out eventually. But yeah, really, really big charge going on at the moment. Obviously, that Mustang's starting to come to life a little bit. He's obviously feeling a lot more confident. Obviously, his qualifying was absolutely great. Found himself up inside the top 10. But now finds himself inside the top 20 and is desperate to try and get himself back up there. This could be proper drive to survive kind of stuff. What can he do? He looks to the inside there. Big, super aggressive with his lines. Southcott now finally coming into the pits, probably realising that there was just no way those tyres were going to last as long as he wanted them to. A bit further up near the pointy end, we've got Arlavi, Catalin and Piccolo. These 3 drivers now also being joined by Kopkinis. I believe that is in the back of the shot as well. It is indeed, and that might even be a door in there as well. I don't think so. Yes, it is. There's door as well. So lots and lots of cars all stacking up on each other pretty quickly here. The old drone cam having a bit of a wobble on there. Apologies for everyone at home that suddenly probably felt about as seasick as you can possibly imagine. Just starting to spread out a little bit, these drivers. And we've got Belshite under attack from Skugel now. Skugel looks to the inside, obviously more confident with the amount of grip that that McLaren is putting down, although he's way out wide. He should be able to get much greater exit speed though. Can he do anything here? Yes, he can. He's going to have the insiders to come down towards this double chicane, and so he should be able to get the braking done and get the nose closed off, and he is there. And Belshite not able to get back across and try and take away the position, and he now finds Kazantis as well, all over the back of him. And Milden got himself up into 14th place. Here we go. We now have Kazantis versus Belshite. Kazantis is everywhere as well. We've got Skugel in front as well, looking to make moves. We've got drivers coming into the pits now, so that's completely changed what was going on there. Skugel not in, so thank goodness. We'll keep an eye on that. Racing for I Love My Fiance. To be said, is O'Sullivan possibly even too quick for tier 2? Because he is monstering away. I know he's had a bit of a clear run and he hasn't got caught up in the battles, but goodness gracious, that gentleman right there, car number 14, 0 Point Racing. I have no idea where this pace has come from, but he is absolutely flying out there at the minute. So, obviously, O'Sullivan pole position, Robert Arlavi second, Bigelow in third, Kopkinis fourth, Dorr running in 5th place. And then the little squabbles and battles going on slightly further back. And there was a big incident there. Let's go back and see if we can catch that. So this was coming down. So we did third to last. Oh! Now, was that a case of there was contact, or was that avoiding action? Pretty sure that was avoiding action. And that was Lima we saw going through, but that absolutely killed Catalin's lap time. He fully got on the brakes and sort of dived out the way there, so I'm not sure if there was an actual contact or whether it was just a case of thinking there's no way we're going to survive this if I stay on the line. That'll definitely be a post-race look into, I imagine. Right, catching up on some of our recovering drivers. Jones still running in 20th place at the moment. So got a fairly big old amount to try and climb his way up through. Ben Milden as well, who we saw on a recovery. Currently putting in some decent laps. 1:38.7 is his best. I think there's only a few drivers that have managed to break below the 1:37s. So Ben Milden, if he can continue this pace, should be in a pretty decent position to try and gain something over the next hour and 15 minutes. Nathaniel Shirley, fourth performance, car number 45. And Lima just came flying through someone there. That was kind of a 65. Oh, so that is a back marker. I say back marker, a pitted car. Sorry about the slight cough there. Was that Belshite? Yes, that is Belshite. So he has pitted, and he's a little bit further down the order now, and obviously finds himself, he'll be under blue flags because of his pit stop, but he is obviously still going to want to be pushing forward pretty hard. Here we go. Right, Jones lining up a move now on this is Zyle in front of him. Is he going to have an overlap into turn one? He's got to be pretty brave on the brakes. He's not as brave as the Beamer, but the Beamer goes super deep, and that is going to really affect this turn two speed. Jones now trying to look to the outside for turn three. Can he try and race it all the way around? It's a long old way to go. Looks for a switch back now. Can he do anything? Very smart driving there by the number 97 car, trying to hold off the line, and very, very nearly a mistake. That could have been costly there for Jones. He is getting a little bit ragged, trying to find extra pace where he can. And he got himself out onto the grass and very nearly didn't get the braking done. So I think frustration may be building up a little bit here for Jones. He knows he is capable of more and wants to try and get up to the front, but he has got to be smart about it. He cannot afford to pick up any kind of penalties this late in the season. Oh, and who was that just went off? I think that might have been Door. It wasn't Door, it was one of the other ones. It wasn't Milden. I don't think it was Shirley. It was definitely a Ford Mustang. One of the Ford Mustangs we just saw going for a bit of a wander. It's that one there. So I think that is running out of place. So we won't worry too much. I'm not going to try and go digging around too much for the old replay to try and find that, as that might have just been avoiding action as green flags were in place. Just seeing someone in the chat there, King Phoenix, saying this is a 90-minute race and there are drivers out there trying to win it on the first few laps. Yes, sadly it does happen. It happened last night in Tier 1 as well. There was a couple of questionable moments, we will say that. But it has been surprisingly clean so far. So Lynn running in 25th place for Zeeble Football League in the wall. That car obviously just not feeling as good as it should do. All this battle's going on up in front. That is Chirich and all kind of cars going all over the place at the moment. One of the BMWs going way, way deep. So once the timing board sorts itself out a little bit, Jones has finally managed to break himself free of this pack and is now trying to pull away. Which BMW was that? Was that Bardakis that we saw? Yeah, Bardakis not having a good time at the moment. He is losing lots and lots of positions. He is way, way down on his time. In comes Hex. Hex dives into the pits. Up near the front. The battle for second place continues to wage on. Arlavi versus Piccolo. Aston Martin versus McLaren. It appears that it is going to be staying reasonably sunny for the next 30 minutes. Oh, King Phoenix, are you Amir in the Ferrari? I think we may have seen your retirement on the stream, if I'm not mistaken. This is always the thing of people having different names on YouTube, Discord, and then obviously their real life names they use in racing. So sometimes it does become a little bit confusing as to who is who. But fairly sure I'm right in saying that is Amir, as we did see him retire. The battle for second place still raging on. Robert Arlavi. Yes, it is Amir. There we go. We've just found out. Well, I'm terribly sorry to see, obviously, your race come to an end so early. The only upside to it is that you do get to watch me and listen to me blabber on about racing for as long as I possibly can. Did 90 minutes of this last night, obviously, for Tier 1, doing another 90 minutes of it today. So the voice will almost certainly be in tatters by the end of this one. But jumping back now, this is the battle for 19th place, consisting of Zeal, Anderson, Chirich and Urbanech, and then we've also still got Lynn and Bardakis as well. Lynn has managed to find their way past Bardakis. Let's see if we can jump on. That's the wrong one. There we go. The rear wing of Zeal. We can see looking back as they come charging down towards turn 1. We've got another car coming out of the pits very soon as well. There it is. That is Hex. Straight out of the pits and into the battle. So a lap down though, that is going to be the only thing. So they are going to be under blue flag orders unless they obviously feel like they have the pace that they can get away. They either need to get that move done very quickly or they're going to start getting pinged for blue flag infringements. Oh, and already trying to look to the inside, but that is caused a collision. Let's go back 30 seconds and see if we can sort of spot what's happening here. So we're on board with Anderson. Car number 707. And so we can see the Ferrari, the 171 Hex in front. Already a couple of times trying to make moves to get past. And then we see him looks to the inside. I believe it is here. Looks to the inside, gets on the brakes very hard. Car is already starting to slide. He continues to brake, and then he is caught by Anderson. So that's a bit of an awkward one when it comes to trying to call that sort of for the stewards, as I think that Ferrari of Hex was already sort of, I don't want to say out of control, but you know, was losing traction already. So quite possibly a case that that position was going to be lost anyway, and that car was already going to rotate, and realistically 707 didn't really have very far to go. Chirich now right on the back though of Anderson. Obviously these guys have all dropped back a little bit after that incident. They have managed to let Zyle get away ever so slightly. Let's jump on that rear wing, looking back at the wonderful, the best livery in all of AOR. The Chirich livery, we love it. Well, even if at home you don't love it, I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. Oh, big moves here, possibly to the inside. Chirich is going to go for it, not quite able to. It was here a lap ago that obviously we had that incident. And Chirich still very much looking to try and make a move. Urbanech as well, another driver who should be able to do more. At the moment, bit of a stalemate between them all. Hour and 6 minutes left to go still. Got to quickly jump on board back with our leader at the moment, who is a whopping 12 point... Well, yes, it's nearly 13 seconds ahead, so... This is almost becoming a point of, is O'Sullivan too quick for Tier 2? I mean, I guess it comes down to racecraft and such, but I would imagine he might be one of those drivers that gets seriously looked at for next season, pace-wise. You know, maybe being up another tier, but who knows? Not my place to say. Second place is Robert Arlavi, who has just broken away from Piccolo that little tiny bit, and Dorr is now chasing after the back of Piccolo. Don't Might be interesting to see how this looks before the end of the lap. The track has now gone to fast as well, so again, conditions changing. Different cars will be starting to come to life. Other cars might be ever so slightly starting to struggle with grip levels. Obviously a mixed condition race. Some people will be driving a car that's sort of a bit of 50-50. Some people might be pushing more towards a dry setup. Some people might be pushing more towards a wet setup. And it really does depend on what the weather does. That can sometimes give you the advantage over your opponents. Oh, kind of at 24 we have just seen with a yellow flag. Who was kind of at 24? That is Bardakis, and they have retired from the race. So sadly we have lost Bardakis. Here we go though, move down into turn 1. Door looks to the outside. Can't quite get it done. He is applying pressure still. Has not been able to do it, and then a big move to the inside. It was very brave stuff. He did manage to get the car stopped at the very last moment there. There was nothing between them. Piccolo now loses the position, drops down to 4th place. Door up into 3rd. That was a big old confident move we saw then though. That was some seriously brave stuff to throw it down the inside. Piccolo did give him the room as well, but I mean, there really was not a great deal between them. I don't think you could have got a small fly between them. And now it's up to see what Door can do. Can he now start to pull away from Piccolo? And see if he can start taking the fight up towards Robert R. Larvey. The battle going on behind though. This is starting to heat up quite nicely. Kyorkinis versus Lafloche. Kyorkinis, we already saw a slight overlap there. Now Lafloche is going to be to the inside. He does get it done. Lafloche obviously feeling like he's got the pace to get through and has done so pretty well, and that is obviously lots of different cars start coming to life differently. Now there has been that slight change in track grip levels as well. We've got Catalin versus, I think that's Athenstad. So when the times come across the start line, we'll see a big shuffle in the numbers, I would imagine. I think that is not Athenstad, it's a... What car is that? Car number 69. Oh, it's a car number 69. That's actually... Let's find it. We know this one. That is Belshite. So, currently running in 25th place, but has done their mandatory pit stop. So, surprising to see that car dropping back rather than pushing forward, bearing in mind it's on fresher tyres. At least I imagine it's on fresher tyres, unless they're looking to do a 2-stop, which would be slightly strange. I don't know why they would have pitted earlier on if they weren't going to change tyres. Nice little squabble going on in the background here as well. Got Delevra trying to find ways past. Lima as well, who we saw on a big push earlier. And Skyless doing their absolute best. BMW does look so big in comparison to those Lamborghinis. The two of them squat down, chasing hard behind the back of the number 64 car. Apologies if anyone heard anything through the mic then. I may have suddenly started choking to death on I'm not even entirely sure what. Skyler still holding on to the position at the moment. Delabra and Lima both applying pressure where they can. Having a little look at the positions now. Jones, who was hoping to be pushing forward, finds himself stuck in 16th place. And he's got, who is that behind him? He's actually got one of the bosses, that's Sheckerman behind him, who has completed his pit stop. Interesting to see who's going to be quicker out of those two cars. Looks like Jones is the quicker of those, and he seems to be pushing forward with some fair ease, to be fair. A little bit further back, Chirich versus Urbanech. Oh, there we go, and Delabra into the pits, so obviously decided to pit rather than continue their battle with the 64 and number 18 car. Oh, it looks like Lynn is making a bit of a move in the background. I can find them. I don't know why Lynn has vanished. There we go. So Lynn to the inside. Can he get it done? He just about manages to get in front as they go into turn 3. Some pretty determined stuff. And the GTR does gain a position. Finds himself up in the 20th place. See, being a fairly short circuit with a fairly big pit really does change the dynamic of the racing. Normally you can sort of go for a pit stop and come back out and hope you're going to come out in some fairly clean air. But a lot of drivers are finding themselves absolutely peppered throughout the grid. Oh, Nathaniel Shirley is having a bit of a squabble. And it looks like that is also Catalin trying to go around the outside of them all. It's going to be a drag race down the line. And again, we've also, I think I'm pretty sure that's Belshite as well, who is involved in this battle. He again is a pitted car, but will be looking to try and stay with everybody as best he can. There's an overlap going into turn 1, a little bit of paint trading. Car number 39 of Catalin just about holds on to the position. Continues to push on. You can see Belshite is looking to try and gain the position here as well. He wants to try and push through. It isn't a battle for position on the grid, but he wants to try and keep pushing forward as quickly as he possibly can. Doesn't want to get held up behind anyone who is lapping slower than him, as that will affect his overall pace. The battle continues on. Nearly 15-second lead at the moment for O'Sullivan. He has really pulled away. Oh, possible move going on here. Skilius versus Lima, and Lima does go through, gets it done through turn 1, turn 2. That's the Grimton Argonauts. Car number 64 losing the position there. So 56 minutes of the race left to go. Still an absolutely colossal amount of time left in this race. jumping back up to this battle for third place as Piccolo has reignited the fire, it would seem, and is chasing after the back of Door. The Flosh as well, looking to try and take advantage, see what they can do. Kokinis will be hoping that these three all start slowing each other down and allowing a bit of an advantage. But at the moment, most drivers seem to have settled in and kind of, as we were saying earlier on, maybe realised that this is not, you know, a 90-second race. It's actually a 90-minute race, and that it doesn't make sense to go absolutely wild straight away. Little squabble further on down the grid. Just noticed Jones has now come into the pits. Bit of a look to the inside there from Zoricic, but wasn't able to do it, and that is going to seriously affect his exit speed. Car number 707 of Anderson sitting behind him. Now that car has pitted, so won't be for position. He's got Chiric right behind him as well. So technically Anderson is off the leading lap, and so he's let Chiric go through. Did Urbanech go through as well? Yeah, Urbanech has gone through as well. So car number 707 of Anderson, although not losing any positions, technically he is losing track position by dropping in behind these cars. Lots of cars coming into the pits now. Jones and Lynn. I do apologise about that one. I was, as it turns out, pretty sure I'm coming down with something, so it was better that no one heard the noises coming out of me then. But while I was gone, car number 30, Lynn, has picked up a stop-go 30, and any penalty in game this evening will be generated by the game itself. So that presumably is going to be for speeding in the pit lane, as they were just moments ago in the pit lane. So that is a real kicker for them. Finding themselves, obviously now, with a stop-go 30, that is pretty much a pack it up and go home kind of penalty, to be fair. It's one of those ones that really does hit you unbelievably hard. Nice little squabble continuing on here though. Chiric now looking to make a move up the inside of Zoricic, and does get it done. Going to have the inside down in towards turn 1. He's already got the move done completely, but that might almost come as a bit of a penalty. And we've also now got Urbanech as well, squabbling around, looking for it. All three cars now. It's going to be 3 wide down towards turn 1. Zoricic looks to the inside and does bump out Chiric. Chiric trying to recover back onto the road. Then has a bit of a bump with Urbanech. Certainly not a lot really that Chiric and Urbanech could do there. They were sort of both sandwiched together, ending up on the outside edge of the road. But now, from gaining one position before the pit straight, Chirich now finds himself losing 2 positions. It really can be the way sometimes. You get caught up in the tiniest little bump and it ends up completely ruining a decent run that you had. So all that hard work immediately undone, and that now means that Chirich is going to have to try and do something pretty wild to get back up through the order. So this battle at the front is slowly closing up. 50 minutes of racing left to go. So this is basically Dor, Piccolo, Lafloche, and now Kokinis trailing, just a few car lengths between them all. A great deal of space. Small mistakes will definitely close those gaps up. And a little bit further back, we've got Nathaniel Shirley being chased down by Lima. Still applying pressure the best they possibly can. You can see up ahead as well, there's a recovering Lynn, obviously, that now has presumably dropped more than 1 lap, probably possibly even 2. At this point, let's have a look and see. Supposedly is still... Yeah, he is 2 laps down now. He has done 22, our leaders have done 24. Well, actually, O'Sullivan now just started his 25th, so give you an idea of just how far ahead O'Sullivan has managed to pull. Let's jump on board with O'Sullivan. Here we go. And to get an idea of just how far behind he is, I mean, far ahead he is, we jump back to Robert Arlavi and you can see absolutely miles of circuit between them. The lead that Arlavi has over Dor would normally be fairly epic, but yeah, that is a huge gap that has been opened up right there at the front. But Dor there for York Sport Racing. Right, big load of cars into the pits. Lima, Skillas, Urbanech and Chirich all diving into the pits now. So big chunk of cars in that midfield as we're just coming up to that midpoint in the race. We're not quite there yet, but we are getting close to it. So the bulk of those cars now getting themselves back out. Again, you can see they're all going to go a lap down on this pack of cars. And this isn't necessarily the leaders. This is sort of that middle pack of cars that we were saying about. But they're all going to drop down a lap on these. Be very interested to see where they all come out. Whether or not there's any right in front of them. Number 189, obviously that is Arlavi. Is anyone there around Arlavi? Yes, there's Lima, who has come out between them, and he's going to find himself in some very busy circuit very soon. Oh, Xantis into the pits as well. Skugel finds himself in 12th place at the moment. You can see kind of a 64 minding out the way that large group of cars that are flinging on through. And we'll see what Lima's doing. Lima hasn't been caught up by them quite yet, so in fact Lima doing a pretty good job of holding on to the back of Robert Arlavi, so obviously looking to try and keep
pushing on with it at the moment. Can't help but feel that looking at the gaps, that there is a possibility that maybe Arnabi is losing a little bit of pace to the drivers behind. Dor, Piccolo and Lafloche, and also Kokinis obviously as well. All pushing hard at the moment to try and hold on to the back. In certain parts of the circuit, the gaps definitely look lower than they did earlier. Lafloche and Piccolo definitely closing up the gap to Dor as well. All a little bit deep there from Piccolo. Just about manages to hold on to the line where they wanted to though. To the surface up to fast conditions now. 28 degrees track temp, 23 degrees ambient. Apologies for the little breaks in commentary throughout the evening. Very aware that I think I'm going to lose my voice tomorrow, so trying to hold on to what I've got left of my voice for as long as possible, so to make sure we get to the end without me sounding like some sort of monster, I'm just limiting the amount of words I say. Alright, Robert Arlavi into the pits. So the first of our big lead drivers now jumps into the pits. Oh, and also Lafloche into the pits as well now. So a couple of the big names at the front now starting to choose pit stops. Ooh, Ben Milden as well has jumped into the pits. See the recovering Ben Milden, and we've got the recovering Jones here as well, who is running 19th overall and is running 6th of our pitted drivers. Although saying that, Arlavi already on the move again. So this could be sort of late in the season. This is not what Jones is going to want. He wants to try and finish as high up the order as he can every single time. But not quite being able to this time round. Finding himself with lots and lots of traffic going on in front of him. Try and see where Arlavi is going to come back out. Is he going to find himself right in the middle of madness? Well, there you go. He is technically now a lap down on the leader, but he is then sat right on the bumper of the leader. So he is after the pit stop. Bear in mind, you know, he is in second place driver. He now finds himself a lap down after the pit. Compared to obviously O'Sullivan, who hasn't pitted yet, but that is, it's pretty mega that to be in second place and have the, you know, the driver in front of you manage to get a lap up on you. So it does give you a bit of an idea of just how far ahead O'Sullivan had managed to pull. 20 seconds over Dor at this point. Yes, there is O'Sullivan. 0 Point Racing, Carnival 14. Got himself up onto that podium very early on and has continued to sit there for an absolutely huge amount of time now. Right, battles continuing on then. Door has now been caught up quite a lot by Piccolo. We're bringing out the big guns to try and keep the voice alive. We're just raw dogging honey at this point. Seeing what we can do, see if we can make it last to the end of this race. Still another 39 minutes left to go. It's a micro endurance event for the drivers, and it's turning into a bit of a micro endurance event for my voice as well, it seems. So O'Sullivan has come into the pits. I mean, realistically, he has got plenty of time to do fuel and tyres. Not really any kind of pressure there. So now Dorr has inherited the lead at the moment. He's still got Piccolo all over the back of him. Like a feisty shopper on Black Friday, it is chasing down the best deal. And the best deal they can find is taking away second place from Door. Sorry, first place away from Door. So O'Sullivan is now on the move again. This little battle's going on here though. This is for position. Athenstad versus Skillis. I do apologise. I've been pronouncing as Skyless, which it clearly isn't. There is no Y in there whatsoever, so I do apologise. I'm pretty sure I've been told. I'm pretty sure I've been told off for it once, and I completely forgot. Doesn't help when you're doing Tier 1 and Tier 2. It'll become, everyone's names become an absolute blur after a while. And little battle pack still going on much further down the field, but we have got Maudsley, it's saying Skoogle isn't amongst these drivers, but oh, there he is, he's in front of all of them. So Skoogle, Maudsley, Urbanec, Chirich, Zoricic. The battle pack from earlier on is still absolutely hammering it round. Bardakis has also now come into the pits as well. You can see him just there in the back of the shot. Ben Milden has just set the fastest lap of the race. What is that? That's a 1:36.095. The track's gone optimum. That'll be why. I think we're probably going to see those numbers bouncing around a little bit. So Ben Milden's still recovering from that early race incident. Catalin, oh, that was our driver we saw in the pits. Actually, Catalin and the Ford Mustang. We saw them into the pits just a moment ago. So this is our on-track battle for first place. "36 minutes of the race left to go, so just shy of 2/3 of the race done." Oh, and Dorr, oh, into the pits. I thought he was well offline for a minute. I thought to myself, he has just thrown away the lead, but he has not. That was intentional. So at the moment, oh, there we go. Kokinis into the pits as well. Dorr into the pits. As we saw, Catalin should be leaving the pits in just a moment or two. In fact, they left the pits. I'm losing my mind. Yes, they have. They are now out and about. Right, so Piccolo inherits the lead of the race. Oh, and there is going to be probably about 5 minutes of rain at the end of this race, and quite a lot of it, so that could really change things up. No one is going to have enough fuel realistically to go that far into the race and then go for wets, and obviously you've got to wait for the circuit to get wet enough that wets become the obvious option over slicks. But now only 2 drivers left to not pit, and that is car number 97 and car number 5. everyone else has now completed, or is in the midst of completing their pit stops. In fact, let's jump on with O'Sullivan, who has already got ahead of car number 97. So on the road, car number 97 has gone another lap down. Oh, and Dorr picks up a drive-through. Dorr picks up a drive-through penalty. So that is for track limit infringements. So a really good race from Dorr so far. Now finding himself with a drive-through penalty. So he'll be kicking himself about that one. I mean, if it was speeding in the pit lane, then that would have been a 30-second stop-go. But just a drive-through, that is for track limit infringements. So he'll be kicking himself about that one, because he was doing a really good race up to this point, and to obviously pick up a drive-through this late in the race is absolutely gutting. Right, Robert Arlavi versus Southcott. We saw them squabbling it out much earlier in the race, and then obviously Southcott, that definitely started on the wrong tyres, is now continuing on. So we are probably going to see Arlavi really be able to switch it on and go after the back of Southcott. Those tyres have been gone a long way on the Southcott McLaren. So Arlavi for Quaddy Racing will be looking to try and take advantage of that over McLaren Racing. What can Arlavi do? Can he apply the pressure and get this done? They're going down towards turn one. You can already see that Southcott went defensive and actually moved out of the way and let Arlavi through. I think that was a case of just knowing there's no way he can match the pace of Arlavi, and it's better to just let him go through at a moment where it's not going to affect either of their laps too much. He knew he was only going to get slower and slower and then possibly lose more position, so now he can just concentrate on maintaining those tyres. So let's Arlavi through, and they can continue on to try and push forward. So I imagine Southcott's tyres are probably feeling somewhat rubbish by now. Still got half an hour of the race left to go, but I mean, he has done a fair old stint on those tyres. It's probably the better part of an hour he's done on those tyres. Obviously a 90-minute race, and he pitted sort of within the first 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure. So realistically, it's not going to be a lot of there's no tread on a slick tyre, but there is realistically not going to be much rubber left whatsoever. That is going to be down towards the canvas by the end of this race, I'm pretty sure. Right, little battle pack going on here. Skugel has managed to break away from them, but now this is Maudsley versus Owenetz, Chiric, Kazantis and Zoricic. All of these cars currently battling out for 18th place, and it doesn't matter whether you're battling for first or you're battling for 18th place. This is the kind of racing you are going to see here. Close wheel-to-wheel stuff. We're going to go to the drone cam to try and get the full battle pack. These drivers have been racing for the better part of an hour already. Robert Arlavi has now set the fastest lap of the race as well, taking those honours away from Ben Milden. It's going to be a bunch up as they come in. This is a five-way battle for 18th place. Maudsley going to be doing his best to try and hold on to the position. Obviously, Urbanetch is also going to be trying to do everything he can to try and gain any kind of advantage. He's going to be in the tow, but is it going to be enough to hold on to the mighty Boatley in a straight line? Can he do anything? He does look to the inside, but just too far back. I wonder if maybe that was a bit of a move just to try and unsettle Maudsley. Now, Kazantis looking pretty racy is back as well here. Zoricic just dropped off the pack a little bit, maybe just dropping back, allowing Kazantis to go forward, apply the pressure to Chiric, hopefully slow the pair of them down. He can try and push through. The drone cam giving us some lovely sweeping shots here of all these cars. Oh, there might have been a move there. It's Ooh, getting a little bit hickledy-pickledy now. Here we go, Kazatis looking to the inside. What can they do as they come down into the braking zone? He is right there. Just seen car number 707 with the yellow flag. That is Anderson. And I believe he has teleported back to the pits. So that's probably going to be a retirement for the car number 707 of Anderson. Possible big drive here from Urbanech. He's going to try and flick the inside, then has to go to the outside. Big flick of the steering. Can he get it done? He's got a tiniest overlap, but not able to do it. It was barely a bumper's overlap, not enough to try and claim any kind of possession of the apex whatsoever. And he was on the outside, obviously, and as he went to try and turn in and get that switch back, there was still a Bentley right there, but that was a very, very slow exit there from Maudsley. What can Maudsley do as he comes down the back straight? You can't even see the tiny McLaren hiding away behind that Bentley. He is now to the inside down towards turn 1. He's got a decent bit of an overlap this time. Who is bravest on the brakes? They both go for the inside. They're going to be side by side through number 2. Maudsley has to brake to maintain the line and not wash out too wide. That has slowed him down. Maudsley and Chirich both bouncing over the curbs there, turn 3. And now Urbanech has managed to gain the position. Dorr has joined the back of this battle as well. He's just seen him charging into the back of the shot. Oh, and Chirich getting very, very squirrely out of there. He was doing quite a decent job of catching up to the back of Maudsley for a minute, but that definitely set him back a fair old chunk. He lost a lot of ground there. This definitely seems to be the battle to keep an eye on for now, though. This little battle pack further down the grid than we normally would probably be watching, but it is good to see close racing. Can Chirich do anything here? Again, he's looking to that inside, not quite able to do anything. Applying the pressure. Dorr is right up at the back of this list now. Oh, there we go. A move to the inside. There's a little bit of rubbing between them. And he's going to be on the outside now, coming through that final corner. He's going to wash very wide. He did get onto the grass. This is going to give Kazantis a really good opportunity to try and make something happen here. Down towards the turn 1. The left-hander there. And it looks like Kazantis is already there and gained a position. Is he going to try and do a 2-for-1 on Maudsley? He does try and do a 2-for-1 on Maudsley. And he's up the inside. He just about gets the braking done. Big changes. There's a squabble going on in front of him. And there was bumping and going there. And we're going to try and go to Maudsley. So this is what happens. So he collides with... Well, that was with Kazantis. Dorr trying to do his best to squabble his way through. And then we've had Chirich has gone off as well. We're going back 30 seconds to try and catch this. What happened with Chirich there as well? I think that might have been with Dorr. So Chirich gets a big bump there from Zoricic. And we've got Dorr trying to go around the outside and recover. He gets a bump again. The car unsettled. He then gets into Maudsley. Just got very choppy, and Chirich was the big loser in all of that. Is Chirich going to get himself going again, or is that it? He has gone back to the pits, so no, he has retired from the race. That's a real shame, because they were putting on some fantastic racing for us, but just got caught up in some madness. Here we go. Here's a nice little battle going on. We've got Milden looking to try and gain another position. He looks up the inside and he's there, but can he get the car stopped and back in again for turn 2? Yes, he can. So Ben Milden, the 111 car, takes away 12th position from Skilius. Ben Milden looking to try and continue forward, possibly try and get himself inside the top 10. He's still got another 25.5 minutes left to go. So Ben Milden for Sector Blitz Racing does have a bit of time to keep pushing forward. He's got Castellin in front of him and then Athenstad, who, to be fair, themselves are pretty close together. Athenstad for Big Brain Racing. Car number 11. Lovely livery on that Ferrari. Oh, here we go. So we now have Piccolo versus Kokinis. Oh, and very, very deep from Piccolo there. Lots of ground lost. He managed to get the car back onto the racing line safely and go defensive. But now Kokinis is very much looking like the hound after the fox at the moment. And sadly, Piccolo is not looking like he's going to outrun this hound. So Kokinis looking to grab up another position, like me grabbing a cocktail sausage at a buffet. Swift as he possibly can, and there's a big move to the inside. No, just dips back in behind, showing the nose again, trying to unsettle Piccolo. Although Piccolo's done a really good job of maintaining under pressure for a long time. He's got some big names around him. He's not a small name himself either. Pressure being applied at the moment by Kokinis is pretty intense stuff. He is not letting up. He wants to try and gain this position. Can he do anything here? Immediately you can see Piccolo going mega defensive. If we look over the rear wing of the number 5 RSGT car, Kokinis again into turn 1. He's slightly better through there, and he's hoping to get a better run here, maybe into turn 3. Goes for that switchback. He has got a better exit. He's going to try and go around the outside. Can't find any space there. And continuing to apply the pressure. This over the rear wing shot is absolutely amazing. And he's gone off the circuit. He's going to try and get the car stopped. But Kokinis obviously was driving at 11 tenths and has now found himself dropping back. After that little bit of an incident, we had an absolutely fantastic onboard shot there of watching him go off onto the grass. He somehow managed to get the car stopped and didn't end up spearing across the upcoming left-hander. So fair play to keep that car out of trouble. Right, jumping back. So Ben Milden continues to push forward towards the back of car number 39. Still on that big recovery drive that we saw earlier on. In a bit of no man's land at the moment though, but you can see the way he's throwing that car left to right, really trying to get it to stick. Well, this is a nice shot. There we go. Winging past that outside wall. I wish we'd had that camera shot for lap 1, to be fair. These are more static cameras that you can sometimes use. Not always the best for... Oh, a bit of a slidey moment there from Ben Milden. So a little bit of time lost, I think, that time round. There was a bit of a big old slide. Who have we got? Jones. So, after looking really strong earlier on in the race, he is now finding himself being chased down by fan favourite Skugel. See, I don't think this is a change of positions the other way round. I'm pretty sure. There we go. Again, Ross Johnson in the chat, yelling out Skoogs. There we go. We look back. We could look over the giant rear wing of the Jones car. Back towards Skugel. Now I'm going to show my age here and say about the game Abe's Odyssey. I can't help but feel that the front end of the McLaren looks a little bit like Abe. The front of it. Can I explain that? No, I can't. Will I try and explain it? Not even in the slightest. I'm just going to leave you with that image. But there's something about the front of the McLaren that just reminds me of Abe's face. Oh, Delabra into the pits. So that is a second pit stop for Delabra, I'm pretty sure. Car number 16. So whether that was a technical sort of an error with the old strategy, or there is an issue with the car, possibly, I'm not entirely sure. You can see Scoogle really trying to apply the pressure, but that Aston is just a little bit quicker in a straight line. It's really, really applying the pressure now. Let's see if we can jump on the dashboard. Looking forward now to that glorious flop dash. You can see him taking slightly different lines to Jones as well. Obviously that difference between being a mid-engine car versus a front-engine car. Just trying to find the absolute maximum amount of grip they possibly can. But while this one's going on, there has another little battle has appeared. No, it hasn't. The timing board is completely lying to me. It was saying that Dorr was incredibly close to someone, but here we are. He's actually out in the middle of nowhere. So, my bad. Good old ACC timing board giving me such hope that there was an incredibly close battle going on, and then dashing my spirits quite brilliantly, sir. Right, back to this one. Let's give the people what they want. They want Scoogle, and where do they want to have the camera? They want it on the dashboard. Might even be a different shot here where we can, there we go, so we're inside the car. You can get a bit of an idea of what it looks like and how little visibility you have, the amount of things going on in front of them as well. Obviously incredibly loud, this camera angle, so apologies if my voice is now being drowned out completely. Knocks down the gears into first gear. You can just see in that left hand corner of the dash, you can see what's happening there. Still applying the pressure, and he is very much looming on the back of Jones, trying to make something happen here. The Aston Martin's going really well in Tier 2 this evening. It's been a bit of a British takeover in the top 5, to be fair. 3 Astons and 2 McLarens. Still continuing to apply the pressure, but just not able to close up the gap any more than he already has. But Scoogle will be looking to try and take away that position from Jones, and Jones, I imagine, will be desperate to try and hold on to the position. He needs to hold on to as many positions as he possibly can for the sake of his championship. Saying this is a little bit closer now as well. Athenstad versus Catalin. Proton competition. Ford Mustang chasing after the back of Athenstad, that number 911. I think that's is that the RSGT car? No, that's Big Brain Racing, that's the one. Doing a great job of holding off. There's dirt getting kicked up from one of the cars in front. I think that was Nathaniel Shirley that we just saw throwing a load of dirt up. Wouldn't say that the Mustang's made for off-roading, but obviously somehow finding a way to make it work. This one as well still continuing on, although this isn't on the road. This is Lynn trying to unlap himself over Skilius. So, although they're very close together, this is just trying to unlap themselves. But the thing is, they're going to have to unlap and then try and find a decent amount of pace to keep pushing forward so they can actually avoid any kind of incident there. Again, timing board showing me some lovely things that weren't going on. That's looking pretty close. Back here, though, Southcott versus Kokinis. This one is very, very close. Are we going to see a move to the inside? Yes, we are. Kokinis is going to try and get the overlap. And in fact, the Speedwise has enough to get it done. He is up the inside. And again, this is a case of, I think, of Southcott. Those tyres are probably run to ribbons at the moment. There's probably not a lot left of those tyres. And Kokinins pushed on through. Obviously, we saw him and Piccolo squabbling it out earlier. And then after that mistake from Kokinis, dropped back a fair old bit. But he has got the move done. Southcott still in 6th place. He's still outscoring Jones, which is the main thing when it comes to his championship. He wants to be outscoring him. It should still be a fairly decent chunk of points over Jones. It really depends on how far Southcott drops in the next 14 minutes. So just while the battles have cooled down ever so slightly, want to give another big shout out to all our Patreon members. And one of our newest members of the Patreon is actually one of our newest members of the commentary team as well, Martin, who joins me in the booth for Tier 1 on Mondays. He made the promise to his other Tier 4 drivers, and the words, I think his words were, if you have a crash, the amount of cars you crash into on lap 1 is the amount of months you have to subscribe to the Patreon. And he had an incident, so true to his word, he has signed up for it. So if you fancy getting involved in the Patreon, obviously give us a bit of a look. Oh, kind of 117 I've just seen. That is Maudsley. We have just seen a yellow flag for Maudsley. What happened here? Let's go back 30 and see if we can spot what happens. So this is with Zoricic, I believe, kind of a 175. So is this something under braking? Zoricic is there to the inside. Oh, and bumps him on the exit of the corner. Spins him round. Ooh, and that was actually our race leader there, having to go very, very evasive to avoid it. Luckily, Maudsley made the right decision and held the brake, so he was easily predictable. He might have been in a dangerous spot, but he at least was predictable. A little bit of rain coming up towards the end of this race, so could be interesting to see what that does. I very much doubt it is going to close down the O'Sullivan gap, because that is utterly ridiculous how big that gap has become. But it is one to keep an eye on. So O'Sullivan in pole position, Alavi second, and at the moment 3rd place is Lafloche. Piccolo running in 4th place, Kokinis in 5th, Southcott 6th, but obviously as we know he is struggling with his timers. Lima is the next driver to be coming up behind them, and he was 2 seconds quicker last time round compared to Southcott. So I think we'll probably keep a bit of an eye on this one just while we go through. So, as we always say, obviously there is the Patreon, but also then we have the Discord where you can get involved in all the chats. Not just ACC that we do here at Apex Online Racing. We also do... I'm trying to think what we do. I think we do F1. I think there's PlayStation leagues. There's Xbox leagues. It's not just for the PC guys. There's a little bit of everything for everyone. And if you're interested in getting involved in all those things, pop along to apexonline.racing, where you can get yourself signed up. And again, links to all these bits and pieces I talk about are always in the description below the stream, or if you're watching this as video on demand, it'll all be there as well. Just give it a little minute to upload once the stream's over, and then it all is there. Apex Online Racing, possibly one of the friendliest communities I have ever worked with. I've worked with a fair few different ones now over the last sort of, God knows how many years, 5 years? Is it 5 years I've been yelling at motorsport in my living room? I think it is. Who knows? I started on Xbox and it was mad doing it there. But yes, yeah, being one of the most welcoming, friendly and helpful communities I've ever worked with. You know, there's obviously some other names out there that have been absolutely great as well, but I won't go shilling anyone else in the middle of an Apex Online Racing stream. Oh, big strike of the wall there for Nathaniel Shirley. And here is a moving into the braking zone. Here comes Lima, gets the move done. No questions asked there. Job done. Right, let's go back 30 and see if we can catch that wall bump that we had of Nathaniel Shirley that we saw in the back of the shop, because that was a big old strike. That car already looking a little bit tattered and scrappy. but pretty sure he just tried to hold it. And here we go on the left-hand side. Oh, to be fair, from distance, looked a lot worse than it was in reality. So that's always a slight bonus to know that the cars aren't completely destroyed as they go in. We're hopefully going to jump to this battle live in just a second. Yeah, here we go. So Athenstad still holding off Catalin for now. Nine minutes of the race left to go, and while these two are squabbling, Ben Milden is slowly sneaking up on them. There he is, just jumping into that back edge of the screen. Nathaniel Shirley as well, maybe starting to show a little bit of fatigue, possibly. I very much doubt it, but who knows? We see some weird and wonderful things here at Apex Online Racing. We've seen many a strange moment. The old Skugel versus Jones battle still continues to rage on. Still pretty close between them. And obviously just in front as well. Then we've also got Lynn and Braun, but that is not for position. Ooh, big load of sparks coming off the underside of Jones's car then. Absolutely nailed the underside of it there. So looking at the lap times, Athenstad is outlapping Nathaniel Shirley. Catalin is a little bit slower, although not a great deal between them. Not a massive amount of time between any of these drivers. They're all very equal. We are now heading into the zone where we might suddenly see rainfall. Those last few minutes of the race. I say last few, there's still 7 minutes to go. I say, there's me saying last few. Complete lies. It's 7 plus a few. I mean, 5 plus a few. Ah! So 50 laps in the book at the moment. And there's still more to keep going as well. Apart from obviously the little wet stint we had at the beginning of the race, which basically was just, there wasn't even any falling rain. It was just, it had been raining pre-race. It really has stayed pretty dry the whole way out, which is quite a difference than what it was yesterday in Tier 1. You know, we're all different across the different tiers racing this evening. It is not one static, whether it is live. Oh, and here we go. Here comes down the rain. Wiper blade immediately has come on Catalin's car. Here comes the wet stuff. It's going to stay wet to the end of the race now. Who is going to be bravest in the wet? Who can maintain what they're doing? There's this one to keep an eye on. Obviously, see what Ben Milden can do. See what Skugel do with Jones now as well. The rain has started to fall. Who is feeling bravest? This could really put a bit of a shake-up on the final sort of 5 minutes of this race. The track already gone to greasy, so the wet weather is already immediately starting to hit in. Everyone is going to just try and survive on the tyres they have. Obviously, O'Sullivan in a position where he can probably drop right off the pace, maintain safe laps just to try and hold on to it. Gas 16B shouting out the Sector Blitz Racing guys. Yeah, Ben Milden will be trying his very best to try and gain at least one more position towards the end of this race. You're seeing someone there saying survival, TC and ABS. Yeah, immediately everyone will be cranking those up to the very beginning, up to the very top, I imagine. They are desperately trying not to lose any positions if they possibly can. So O'Sullivan still out there holding on to it. Robert Arlavi, second place, still holding on to it. Lafloche, third place, is still holding on to it. And then we've got Piccolo, Kokinis, Lima, who's a really great drive. He's got himself up into 6th place. Southcott, who is still losing position. So now he is going to be on incredibly burnt out slicks while it's raining. Nathaniel Shirley in the banger racing looking Mustang running in 8th place. Athenstad still being chased down by Catalin in 10th place. And then Ben Milden, who has caught up with the back of them as well. But again, this might be a case of some drivers maybe just thinking to themselves it is better to bank what they have now rather than push absolutely wildly and try and gain something else. Although saying that, look how quickly Piccolo has caught up with the back of Lafloche. Now that it's starting to rain a bit, Lafloche has lost a fairly decent chunk of time. In fact, O'Sullivan has lost nearly 4 seconds already. Track has gone to damp. Everyone's starting to hemorrhage time left, right and centre. We've got Maudsley running in front of this group as well. But to get an idea, obviously it's been dry pretty much the entire time, but now you can see the amount of rain starting to fall. Oh, the car's getting very, very skittish. I don't think any of these cars have got a great amount of grip. Now we finally hear that pedal being absolutely mashed to the floor, but there was a little while when it almost sounded like there was almost no audio coming out of the car. It was so lightly being used. Maudsley going very deep, and so is the Lafloche in front of them. This is when it gets proper hard stuff. If people were running a predominantly dry setup, they maybe thought that little splash of rain at the very beginning was all there was going to be. Who's going to be bravest here? It's going to have to take something pretty wild. They're all lifting off the throttle long before they normally would do it. Normally be flat all the way through there. Maudsley going out the way, and there's a mistake from Lafloche. Lafloche goes super deep. He makes a mistake. I wonder if he was trying to brake the same time as Maudsley, but that did not work. And now Lafloche finds himself down into 4th position. So everything that we saw earlier on in the race is suddenly thrown out the window. It's all going absolutely mad at the moment. Trying to see where everyone is in comparison to everybody else. Just under 2 minutes of the race left to go. Lots of cars that have slowed down significantly. O'Sullivan finding himself coming up behind, I think that's Kazantis in front of him. Pretty sure it is. Kazantis will probably move out of the way and let him through, but this is where it gets dangerous. You've got the wet weather, you've got the limited visibility, the incredibly limited amount of grip. So is O'Sullivan going to stay behind, or is he going to try and push through? There we go. In the end, Kazantis actually braking there to let him through. Robert Arlavi very much sort of limping it home at the moment, taking it very gently. Piccolo as well, trying to open up the gap a little bit over Lafloche. He knows he wants to open it up. Lafloche was in front originally, so he knows he needs to try and open it up just a little bit, so the position isn't just immediately snatched back off of him. But he will be very, very nervously tippy-toeing round Lafloche as well, not wanting to go any further back. He's already made one mistake. When it comes to wet weather, if you keep making mistakes lap after lap, that is when you can then start to get really, really nervous. Here we go. Southcott, I think, is about to lose another position. Nathaniel Shirley running on significantly fresher slicks than Southcott, who is basically running on slicks older than the dinosaurs the rubber is made out of to use to keep that car gripping. He's desperately trying to get the car stopped. This is really starting to back people up. This could give us a proper interesting end to the race, because that has fully allowed Athenstad to catch up. And that means that Catalin and Milden may be able to catch up as well. Southcott, oh, big slide there from Nathaniel Shirley. He went way into drift mode. Managing to get the car under control, but he's going to go deep. He goes deep, and so does Athenstad. Everybody goes deep suddenly. So no position changes there, but this is going to be proper sketchy stuff. They got this and 1 lap left to go. Our leader has about half a lap left to go until the end of the race.
But you can see them all absolutely skittishly sliding around. Ben Milden joins it as well, sideways. There's going to be some fantastic moments, I think, where everybody is absolutely sending it sideways in this last couple of minutes of racing. The main one really does seem to be to keep an eye on this kind of battle going on here, because lots of drivers still trying to push super, super hard. Track has already gone fully wet, so you can see just how little grip and how little visibility there is. If anything, I think I'd rather be in the Ferrari at this time, because at least you've got the weight over the middle of the car rather than all at the front and then very little at the back. And while this has all gone on as well, actually Southcott probably, you know, counting his lucky stars, he's managed to break away from Nathaniel Shirley again, simply due to the fact that now Nathaniel Shirley has gone super, super defensive and isn't able to take the advantage of fresher tyres. Our leader's about to come across the line and go across to Sullivan, who comes flying over the line and takes pole position. Robert R. Larvey is going to be coming home in second place. Realistically, we need to keep an eye on this battle. Oh, we really need to keep an eye on it, because Nathaniel Shirley has gone off. What happened there? Was there a contact moment? Or was it simply outbraked himself? Hugely outbraked himself. That is where we caught it. So Nathaniel Shirley went off. He now rejoins right in front of Catalin and Ben Milden. And we've already seen mistakes made from these drivers here before. Who is going to be bravest? Who is going to manage to hold on to it the best? Ben Milden sort of went for that widest, fastest line. This is still very much the battle. I need to keep an eye on. There's another mistake from Nathaniel Shirley. He is going to lose another position. Nathaniel Shirley loses another one here. Can he hold on to the inside? Ben Milden looking to possibly take advantage and try and get all these Mustangs at once. He's going to try and get the better drive off the corner, but they are still absolutely scrabbling for grip. Who can possibly drag race to the line? They're just squirreling around. I think all of them have wound the traction control right back as far as they possibly can. They've now got stop traffic in the road in front of them. That is going to be a post-race collision, but not a great deal Nathaniel Shirley could do about that one. So I think if there's any complaints, we've caught that on the stream. That is simply a case of lots of people stopping in incredibly daft places just after the finish. But it's still going on. Where is Jones coming across the line? Jones comes across, and Skugel got in front of him. He got in front of him in the end, so sadly we missed that overtake while it happened. But there we go. That is the end of that one for now. We may possibly get some people willing to come and join us in the booth. Who knows? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm almost kind of hoping not this evening, because I've got no voice left. I have to wait and see. I've just completely misspelt the word interviews in there as well. Goodness gracious, that ended up being an absolutely manic race towards the end. Oh, there we go. Got O'Sullivan's willing to do it, so fantastic. Hopefully they'll come and join us in the correct kind of place where I can grab them. So let's make it all look a little bit nicer and prettier, and then I can run through what it all looks like for us as well. So hold on to your horses. So should still be just me and a nice image here. So let's run through how the cars crossed the finish line, and then we will hopefully drag everyone in and have a look. So O'Sullivan crosses the line in first place, Arlavi in second, Piccolo third, LaFloche fourth, Kokinis fifth, Lima in sixth, Southcott just about holds on to seventh place, Athenstad in eighth, Catalin in ninth, Nathaniel Shirley 10th, Ben Milden 11th, Skilius in 12th place, Skugel in 13th, Braun in 14th place. Sorry, there's even more to go. I just need to have a quick breathe. 15th is Jones. Not a great finish for him. Dorr, 16th place. Urbanech, 17th. Kazantis, 18th. Zoricic, 19th. Zyle in 20th place. 21st was Delabra. Mosley, 22nd. And Lynn, 23rd, was our final car to finish the race. A whopping amount of retirements. Chirich, Anderson, Belscheit, Zapata, Mathiasen, Shekerman, Bardakis, Jokic, Amir, and Schroeder. All those drivers retiring this week. So that is a bit of a shame to see so many cars drop out, but it does happen from time to time. Let's see if we have got anyone ready for interview. I can't drag him in from there. I need, just trying to get a moment. So fingers crossed we can get our landslide race winner in. Yes, we can. Right. Let's drag him in for a chinwag. Ryan, can you hear me? Oh, he's still muted at the moment. Hello. Oh, wow. Something's going on my Discord. Right. Don't go anywhere. Stay where you are. We're getting a random moment where for some reason Discord is throwing a wobbly. We love it when it does it. And I know exactly why it's doing it because I'm in a different commentary booth from normal. Right, 1 second. We're going to solve this. Sorry, everybody at home. This is me being a rubbish streamer. Just for some reason, it's not connected to the right one. Come on, let me go to it. I want. Right, you know what? Easier way of solving this. I'm going to move us both into the right box. So, Ryan, hold tight. There we go. Try and speak now. Why is this still not working? What is going on? Come on. All right. I honestly cannot tell you why it is not currently working. Just talk at me again. Come on, we need to get this working.
Can you hear me now?
There it is. There we go. I could hear you perfectly, but everyone at home just thought I was talking to a ghost for a brief moment then. Ryan O'Sullivan, what an entrance to the championship you have had. Obviously, you were in Tier 3 up to race 4, I believe, and then obviously you joined us for Mazzano last week, and it was just the wettest, most mad race I think we've ever had. And obviously your pace was fantastic, but there was that early incident in the race, which obviously then put you way, way back, and you ended up finishing sort of in the mid-20s, I think. So what a redemption arc for this round to come absolutely swinging out the park and just dominated the entire race. I mean, pace-wise, probably looking almost at tier 1 level pace because that was monstrously quick.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, it was very. It's one of my favourite tracks, to be honest with you, Indianapolis. I seem to be able to lap that track pretty well and consistently, and yeah, the setup felt good. The wet start made it a bit interesting to say the least, but I was very surprised with the pace that I did have. To hold behind, I can't remember. I think it was Southcott now. Or it was on the wet tyres.
Yes, it
and
was
then from there on in, and then from there on in after that, it just felt quite easy. I seemed to be very consistent. The laps were there. Everything was just fell into place today.
Happy days, and that is exactly what you want. I mean, obviously, knowing that it was a race where the weather was obviously quite dynamic and could have been coming in, were you running enough fuel to sort of go 3/4 of the race, or were you always planning to sort of go for a middle of the race kind of stop?
I did put in a bit extra, but I was probably more looking towards the lines of just past halfway point for fuel. So when I did see P2 pit at the time, we sort of played it safe and went, you know what, let's pit now while we can, maintain the gap, not let them undercut us, and yeah, just played it safe after that point. Once the gap was made, it was just a case of just bringing it home.
Fantastic stuff. I say, sort of, as we always discuss here, it's not just about outright pace, it's about making the right call. I mean, as we saw earlier on there as well, obviously with the start, with one of your competitors starting on wet tyres. I think they were the only car on the grid to start on wet, so we sort of were desperately looking for the yellow banding on people's tyres, and I think everything had it. Apart from that one one McLaren, sorry. So yeah, it was a bit of a bad call there. I mean, because it pretty much it was saying it was wet, and then as soon as the outlap began, it immediately went to just damp. And I think there was probably a moment of that's it. There was no chance those tyres were going to be able to hold on to it. Obviously, big win for you here this evening. Absolutely flew away. I think it was like 20-second lead you had at one point. It was absolutely insane. And obviously we've got Kailami coming up next week. You said that you really enjoyed Indianapolis. What are your thoughts on Kailami? Because that gets some very mixed opinions from people.
I like that one more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Confidence going in then.
yeah, I do. As long as I can get the qualifying sorted, which seems to be a bit of me Achilles heel at the moment. Once I can get that sorted, I think race pace I know is very, very strong there. With the Aston as well, it seems to go very well around there anyway. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. That should be a fun race.
Happy days. And obviously, I mean, you've come up from tier 3 into tier 2. So before this race, you were in 5th place in the championship. But obviously, you've outscored everyone else around you. I'm trying to see where you were. You were on 229 points with Belshite and Schroeder quite closely in front of you. Not a great deal of a gap between them. And obviously, you outscored both of them this evening. Sorry, my voice is falling apart again. Sorry, this is 2 nights of doing 90 minutes of yelling at motorsport. Doesn't seem like it would ruin your voice, but it really does. So I think you've probably got yourself already, looking at everyone else's results, I think you're probably fairly close to 3rd place in the championship. There's still a big old gap up to Southcott and Jones, but Jones obviously had a very poor race this evening, got involved in an early incident, and sadly obviously dropped a lot of positions. So there will obviously be post-race penalties, but from what I could see, you kept your nose clean this time pretty nicely. So should be a case of a pretty good end to the season coming up for you, possibly.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I'm just like I was saying earlier. I love Kyalami, so go out the end of the season strong. We should try and gain as many points as we can. Try and consolidate P3 if possible in the championship, and try and take the most race wins of the season. Hopefully, because I don't think anyone's scored 4 race wins so far this season either, which is quite nice across all the tiers from what I can see.
I think Southcott had 3 before this round. How many is? Oh yeah, it's only 3. I say even Jardier and Aiden, they've both got 3 race wins apiece. But yeah, if you can grab onto that, that would be a very nice thing. It's a very nice thing to do, to have, say, 4 race wins over everybody else. That'd be quite nice. Yeah, I'm having a quick flick through the old standings as we speak. Yeah, I can see that you didn't start the first race in tier 3, but then you've just dominated every single one up to that point. Tier 4's all mixed up. Tier 5, yeah, again, it's all kind of all over the place throughout the other tiers and stuff. It's quite nice actually going down and looking through the other tiers. I don't often get a chance to. Just all my time is taken up trying to keep up with the ins and outs of tier 1 and tier 2. So amazing for you to get up into tier 2 mid-season. It's quite rare that we get people put up into tier 2 sort of mid-season. So it's very nice to see. Obviously, you've got a big round coming up next time. We're really looking forward to it, which is good to know as well. Is there anyone you want to give a bit of a shout out to this evening?
Just the 0 racing team, 0 point racing team that we've only founded in the last couple of months. Going strong, getting in the results, and yeah, just we're pushing forward.
Happy days. That's what you want. Right. Well, thank you ever so much for joining us, Ryan. Very much appreciated. And obviously, this goes out to everyone again in tier 2. If you get into the podium, feel free to jump in for a chinwag. You're always welcome. Doesn't matter if you came 3rd or 1st or 2nd, just jump in, especially on the final. We need to have a chat with them. So even if it ends up being that you aren't, especially in the final round, sorry, just quick statement to everyone. If you are top 3 in the championship at the end of next week's race, even if you don't finish on the podium in the actual race, please stack up for a chat, because it's always good to have a bit of a chinwag with you, especially if you're going to end up in tier 1, because you are fully expected to come in for a chat after a tier 1 race, especially if you're going to end up being in the top 3 in the championship. There's a bit of a chance you could be going up depending on your pace and stuff. So yes, right, Ryan, thank you ever so much for joining us. Obviously, thank you for giving your team a shout out as well. I'm glad I actually pronounced it correctly, and I did say 0 rather than saying like XRO, because sometimes the pronunciations are totally wrong for how I read it. But no, thank you ever so much for joining me, Ryan, and might see you next week in the booth.
Yeah, no, cheers, thank you.
Right, and that is us done. The championship all gone hickledy-pickledy again. The results will be up on the website, and that is at apexonline.racing. The results will be up a little bit later in the week once the stewards have had a chance to go through any incidents that will be reported. Obviously, all penalties are post-race for tiers 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the results do not get put up immediately. Obviously, Tier 1 with live stewarding, they do get put up very quickly. But join us next week for the final round of Season 17. And that is going to be at Kailami. It's a 60-minute race. So Monday, 7:30 is Tier 1. And then Tuesday at 7:30 is another Tier 2 Tuesday, as is always the case. But please join us next time around for the final. It is going to be big stuff in both tiers. Thank you ever so much, guys, and we will see you next week.